Dan and Amy. So there was a moment that has been overshadowed now by the vice presidential debate and the look ahead to the Sunday town hall debate between Trump and Hillary. But there was a moment that got a lot of attention from the D.C. press corps between Hillary Clinton and a 15-year-old girl at a town hall Hillary hosted in Haverford, Pennsylvania earlier this week. The girl's name, Brennan Leach.
Yeah, I saw her. She was a cute girl. She had some dark-rimmed glasses on. Cute, not overweight or anything. Just, normal, average.
Oh, hey, take it easy, Trump. Take it easy, Trump.
You know what, Dan, I think her BMI might have been 18 or under.
What the?
What? I'm just saying I looked at her because I was wondering what she looked like. Okay, I was curious. I stopped to look.
Here's the question and answer. Here's the question that svelte 15-year-old Brennan Leach asked Hillary Clinton.
Hi, Madam Secretary. I'm Brennan, and I'm 15 years old. At my school, body image is a really big issue for girls my age. I see with my own eyes the damage Donald Trump does when he talks about women and how they look. As the first female president, how would you undo some of that damage and help girls understand that they are so much more than just what they look like?
Why don't you just watch Girls, Lena Dunham? She doesn't care about body image.
Oh, my. See, you're playing right into it.
Oh, no.
You're feeding into all the insecurities and anger.
Oh, no, I didn't do that.
You are.
Oh, no. I apologize profusely. Here's Hillary Clinton's empathetic answer. Didn't see that question coming out of left field, did she?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. I am so proud of you for asking that question.
Oh.
And I think both Chelsea and I would like to say something about this.
Oh, Chelsea, let's rope her in, too. By the way, Jake Tapper Jake Tapper made a good point that it's a little unfair how the Trump children are being treated as compared to Chelsea. Chelsea doesn't get grilled the way that the Trump children do when she's surrogating for the Clintons. Jake Tapper admitting that on CNN yesterday. Okay. But in terms of, so Hillary's proud of the question. Brennan, the courage to ask that question. Except a YouTuber named Spanglevision decided to...
Excuse me.
Spanglevision. Did you get your mind out of the gutter? He decided to dig a little bit deeper and found out a little bit more about Brennan Leach. That's not her first foray into politics. He was tipped off by the fact that she was the only individual asking Hillary Clinton a question at that town hall forum that had it prepared on a card, typewritten. She was reading from a card where everybody else was just asking off the cuff because it was supposed to be, spontaneous questions. And here's an ad that Brennan Leach was in, a political ad, for her father, who just happens to be a Pennsylvania Democratic state senator named Dalen Leach.
The people in Congress who voted for this plan had to labor under historically difficult circumstances.
He seems like a great guy, but everything he's talking about happened in the past, way before I was born. My dad, Dalen Leach, is running for Congress to fight for the future. He'll make sure the banks in Wall Street play fair. He'll make sure there are fewer guns on the street so our neighborhood is safe for me and my little brother. He'll even expand Social Security for our grandparents.
Yeah, I love hearing an 8-year-old give a dissertation on Social Security. But here's the point. Dalen Leach, her father, the state senator, Brennan Leach, the daughter, not only used as a political prop by her dad and now Hillary Clinton, she's also a child actor. So that whole thing, that whole moment at that town hall forum in Pennsylvania was staged. So you had little Hillary Clinton asking old Hillary Clinton that question.
And something else that was staged that we learned yesterday through a leaked memo from the Steve Harvey show, which is taped right here in Chicago at the NBC Tower. Not only did they provide Hillary Clinton, her campaign, with the questions, they provided in what order they will be asked and how she will respond. So Clinton evidently needed to be informed in advance that Harvey would ask her whether she prefers deep dish pizza or thin crust.
Well, you need time to think about that.
And then in quotes, he may even follow up with hot sauce or no hot sauce. Yeah. Other hardball questions Clinton was warned about included, how does being a mom and now grandmother affect how you shape your policy?
Right.
And how your campaign's obviously off to a great start. How are things different this time around for you?
And then, of course, the big answer that came away from that interview that was set up by Steve Harvey, who, there's kind of a mutual admiration society between suits mean, he's got the zoot suit, she's got the pantsuit. But the question that she responded to was that she's the white person whisperer. She can go talk to white people about this police brutality matter and see if we can't.
Well, that was off the record. They didn't talk. I mean, that was not a part of the conversation. And then she faked
it was
this.
a part of the conversation.
Well, she had this, oh my goodness reaction when Steve Harvey showed her a picture of when she was 12 years old, and that's the exact copy of which appeared on her memo.
Well, it's a perfect segue to our next guest. He, of course, is our friend Andy McCarthy, former federal prosecutor, prosecuted the first World Trade Center bombers, and a columnist at National Review Online. Andy, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
How are you guys doing?
Good. Well, I want to pick up on this piece that you wrote because you've been, given your background as a federal prosecutor, you've been all over the DOJ, FBI treatment of Clinton and all of her allies with respect to the homebrew server and all the associated issues. And you write at nationalreview.com about these side deals that have just been unearthed thanks to a little bit of digging by House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte, a Republican from Virginia. It wasn't just immunity that Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson and other Clinton associates received. There were side deals associated with that immunity that are even more curious than the immunity deals themselves. Can you explain?
Yeah, sure. The immunity deals, to begin with, are preposterous in and of themselves, even if they weren't attended by these side deals, because what we're talking about is key evidence in the investigation, the laptop computers that were used to vet Mrs. Clinton's emails to decide which ones the State Department would get and which ones she would hoard and then destroy, right? That evidence could have been obtained if they had gone to the grand jury and just issued a subpoena. They didn't want to go to the grand jury because going to the grand jury suggests that a case is going to be indicted, which, if that got out, could have been very damaging for Mrs. Clinton's campaign. So without the grand jury and the ability to compel the production of evidence without having to make any concessions, they were left to, grant preposterous concessions in order to obtain this evidence. So they traded immunity from prosecution for anything that might have been found on the computers in order to get these two people, Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson, to surrender their computers. And now we learn, on the basis of these side deals, that the FBI severely limited itself in terms of the time frame of information on the computers that it was allowed to look at, including saying that it wouldn't look at anything that was dated after January 31st, 2015, when it looks like, from everything else we know about the investigation, the main obstruction of justice evidence in the case is in March 2015. It occurs about 6 weeks after the date that they said they wouldn't look at anything past. And secondly, not only did they tie their hands and blind themselves to some of what must have been on these computers, they also cut a deal that said when they were done with their review, they would destroy the evidence. They would destroy the computers. Now, I've heard people say, in what kind of how could it possibly be that the FBI would ever destroy evidence? And I think that takes it too far. If we were talking about a terrorism case where they found explosives, or a big drug case where they found, piles of illegal cocaine or heroin, of course they would destroy those things in the public interest at whatever point they would know.
Andy?
Preposterous.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, you cut out for a second there. You were talking about they would destroy that evidence in a drug case at what point, and then we lost you for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. They would destroy it at the point where it was no longer relevant. The trials are all over, or, everybody's agreed that whatever record they made of that evidence is sufficient to use it in the trial or whatever. But laptop computers, there's no public interest in destroying a laptop computer. It's ridiculous.
So how did all of this emails, how did Hillary jeopardize our national security? I know it might be conjecture on your part, but how could she have put us in danger or in a vulnerable position?
Well, in a variety of ways. First of all, she was clearly, we know, both storing on her system, and there were transmissions on her system in the way of email about matters that involve the highest national defense secrets in our country, including very top secret information that relates to methods of intelligence gathering and sources of intelligence. So, you put those people at risk. But just the whole premise, Amy, of having a system, and remember, she systematically conducted all of her government business on this non-government, non-secure system, making it much easier for hostile governments or anyone who really is a competent hacker to get into her system. And the FBI said that they didn't find evidence that was done, but they also said they wouldn't expect to find evidence if it was done because it's easy enough to do without using or leaving sort of cyber fingerprints on it. And the thought that the Russians and the Chinese and other competent intelligence agencies didn't intrude on a non-secure system when we know that they successfully intrude at times into our secure system is just absurd. You couldn't make that assumption safely.
Well, so this is a question I got to ask you. So particularly in light of these side deals now and Earth, and every time there's new information that comes to the fore, it looks more and more like the FBI and Department of Justice were proactively imposing safeguards to ensure no one gets prosecuted for anything. And Jim Comey, we've talked about this before on the show. You have respect for him, straight arrow, person of integrity. He has been put before congressional committees to defend the indefensible, and he's done it. And so I just wonder how you look at this and look at FBI Director Comey now with all of this information coming to light. And if that changes your characterization of Comey, or if there's some other plausible explanation for everything that we see here and what you wrote about National Review yesterday.
Jim Comey's a guy who I've liked and admired for 30 years, and there's not one single thing that's going to change my mind about him. On the other hand, I have to do my job as objectively as I can, regardless of how he does his job. So I'm not going to read his mind, and you can fault me for that because it may be that I have a bias in this regard that I wouldn't have in another connection. But I've tried to call it as straight as I could call it, evaluating this. And when you say he's defending the indefensible, I wouldn't argue with that. I think he's defending the indefensible.
All right. He is Andy McCarthy. The piece in National Review Online that you want to check out at nationalreview.com. Hillary Clinton email scandal, side deals, FBI and Department of Justice politicized. It's a good read. It really helps people to understand exactly what's going on versus what perhaps should have been going on. Andy McCarthy, thanks always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a great weekend.
You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.